Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. As long-term viewers have seen, I have done several projects in the past with Celtic knots. Either spindles for handles, those are done on the table saw, following the three principles that are required to get it right and get the crosses right. I've also done projects on the bandsaw, obeying the same three principles. There the knot appears more on the side. Decided to try and apply the same thing more to a bowl this time. So in this bowl, this has 6 slices through it, interlocking the pieces, and I think it has an interesting effect that I intend to explore more. One other feature is that I put a little mortise into the bottom for the final sanding, so that if I need to freshen up the finish a little bit, I can wet sand it with walnut oil and it'll be nice and clean and smooth and fresh. So for now, let's experiment and turn this sliced, segmented Celtic knot. I've got to decide what to call this, but this very nice bowl.
For this bowl, I'm cutting cherry segments, 16 segments per ring, targeting 1/2 inch ring height. My sled is set to 22.5 degrees between the arms. Please note the guard. Yes, I have cut myself while cutting segments. In that case, while the saw was coasting to a stop, I got distracted, turned around, turned back, and touched my thumb to the blade. My saw stopped, saved my thumb, but since then, I also use a guard to save about $200 per touch. I cut segments for one ring at a time, then start gluing them together before cutting the next ring's segments. It is repetitive, but quick. After cleaning off any fuzz for gluing, I first glue segments into pairs using the rub joint technique. Depending on shop temperature, by the time I have finished the pairs, I can glue pairs into quarter rings. By now, I generally have a couple of rings worth in process, which gives the quarter rings a bit more time to dry. Now to glue the quarter rings into half rings, still with the rub joint technique. I may let the half rings go another 15 to 30 minutes before scribing witness lines on the end that will mate together. With the witness marks sanded off, the halves become whole rings again with the rub joint technique. Complete rings get a little more time to dry before any rough handling. With a thickness sander, most of the rings are sanded down to 1/2 inch thickness. I left the top and second ring thicker for cleanup that you will see later. I have also inset stabilized cherry into the base. This cherry is inserted from both sides using different size mortises to lock it in and further stabilize the assembly. With the rings glued up, I'm ready for the special effect for this bowl. I have a hexagonal template that fits into a larger hexagonal recess in a larger plate that, in turn, is double stick taped to a thin piece of plywood. My template is 3D printed, but they can be made any way you prefer. After marking the approximate cut line, I also label pieces so that they can be reassembled later. I also strike witness marks across cut lines to guide reassembly. After that, carefully and slowly make the cuts, allowing the saw to stop between each cut. No guard here, only the saw stop. How can this bowl ever come together again? With 30-minute epoxy, I first glued the inserts to the side offcuts and allowed the epoxy to harden. With those pieces tamed somewhat, it is easier to carefully align the pieces. My witness marks are on the wrong side. Fortunately, the segment edges provide good guidance. A couple of HVAC band clamps provide more than enough pressure against the ring perimeters. Back to the saw with the same setup. The first time, I used every other position in the template. This time, I start one over and then every other from there. My saw is limited to just over 3 inches depth of cut. I have tried every way I can figure to keep my stack of rings short, such as no base, no top, 1/8 inch plywood for the fence offset. After completing these cuts, I decide that next time the whole process needs to be upside down from this time. It should be more stable. Back to the epoxy station to epoxy the inserts to the sides like before, and then glue them to the guts. I'm pretty happy with the joints, however, this will be a mess to turn. After double stick taping my stack to a large faceplate, I can start cleaning up the rough areas. However, the stack is not complete, so I do not want to go too far. Just round off the outside and a smidgen on the inside. Let's get the base glued on now. With the base on, I can define most of the exterior. It only lacks the very top ring. I'm referencing my original drawing, but find that I have to shrink the bowl by about 1/2 inch for these rings. I did not think anyone would notice. The interior is more difficult with the excess wood from the inserts coming in. Still, not too bad since the bowl is shallow. Finally, true the top edge and sand it with a sanding board. Let's get that final ring glued to the top. It still needs to dry. This ring has a much smaller inner diameter than needed. No problem. But I may as well salvage some of it. With a parting tool, I cut a groove. My tailstock ram will catch the ring and prevent damage. Then continue with my bowl gouge to hollow out the interior. This is much the same as a solid bowl, except that this is all side grain. I get very consistent ribbons of shavings. Beautiful. Then clean up the bottom with a heavy box scraper and the sides with a round nose scraper. With the wall this thin, this is careful work. With the bowl mounted to coal jaws, the base faceplate still needs to come off. With the old faceplate mounted to the live center, there's minimal risk of a UFO and damage to my bowl. It is too pretty to fly away. The only good way to measure the bottom thickness is to remove the bowl from the coal jaws, measure, and put it back. Then clean up the foot. I've pushed this bowl pretty fast through the drying process. Since there is still a chance that glue lines may become prominent, I'm cutting a shallow mortise in the bottom. I can use this anytime to remount and wet sand with walnut oil. With appropriate sizing, it and its use are not apparent. Ultimately, a bath in walnut oil brings out the beautiful grain. I love how this bowl turned out. The wood is beautiful and the inserts are well aligned. The base is stable and should never crack. Since this is a prototype, I will refine the process a little more, mainly to invert. I learn with each and every project. There will be more like this one. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website because it's more reliable than YouTube notifications. Please tell your friends about my weekly videos. I appreciate your comments and questions. Please wear your full face shield whenever the lathe is running. That is my best safety tip, and you are worth saving. This can help.